Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Connected Through Cinema. I'm Shubhadeep. This week, we discuss the Tamil Netflix anthology, Pava Kadigal. For the discussion, we have with us Asmita from I Just React and Review. Ashmita started her YouTube channel as recent as in June 2020 and already has over 13,000 subscribers on her channel. We welcome you, Ashmita, for this discussion. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor. I was so excited to get the invite from Arup. I was looking at my phone. I was like, wow, I'm a guest on somebody's channel. Things are happening for me now.
No, the honor is all ours. And of course, we have Arup and Arnav with us. So before we actually start with the discussion, Ashmita, so you started your channel recently and it has sort of blown up, I would say, with the kind of growth trajectory which you have shown. So tell us a little bit about your passion for cinema. How did all this start and how do you feel right now about your channel currently?
Well, it's really not blowing up, but it's okay. I'm really happy with the way the channel has picked up. And starting a channel which is related to entertainment was something which was on the back of my mind since I think early 2019. But my job at that point of time was extremely still demanding, but I had to travel a lot. So basically, I had no time. I used to just sit on the metro and watch content after content, but there was no platform for me to sort of share my thoughts, and I had always wanted to do that. Now, of course, unfortunately, with the COVID, lot of people during the pandemic actually started exploring their passion. So I thought, because it's work from home and I have a lot of time now in my hands, I don't spend all the time traveling. So let me just start as a pilot project, this channel. And slowly it started sort of picking up because I love doing reactions also, and I love sharing reviews as well. So I thought, instead of just doing a review, I'll do both, and I'll just switch from reactions to review, however I feel like. So, and when I uploaded my first video, I had this great sense of satisfaction that this is something that is done by me, completely by me. So, and I had always passion for movie. I grew up watching since I'm the only child, so a lot of time spent on listening to music, watching TV, streaming content, spending time on YouTube. So yeah, I think it was just very organic for me to start the channel, and I'm really glad it's picked up decently. Not really that great, but yeah, decently. I'm very happy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We wish you all the more success with your channel, and we hope that it actually blows up according to your standards. Great. Any plans you have for going into cinema, maybe some script writing or acting? Have you thought of those terms, or do you think you're happy with this?
Interestingly, of course, my friends know this. I had almost joined FTII.
Oh, is it?
Almost. Yeah, almost. But then, of course, I took the conventional route. Like I said, I'm the only child. So, of course, I took the conventional route of graduation plus doing the MBA and get into a corporate job. So I had applied, I given the exam of FTII, I cleared it, and I got the interview call. It just, I just didn't go through with it. So the passion for movies was there since I was like 17, 18. It's just now that, I'm doing something related to it, and hopefully, yes, if God permits or if time also permits, probably get into, the entertainment business in terms of, probably script writing. I love imagining stuff, so yeah, script writing could be a great option.
Great.
But right now I definitely want to focus on the channel only.
Awesome. Okay, as I've mentioned that we are going to discuss the 4 stories or simple tales told in the form of anthology, Pabai Kadigal. The names are, of course, we all know Sudha Kongara's Thangam, Vignesh Shivan's Love Panna Uttaranam, Gautam Menon's Vanmagal, and Vetri Maran's Urivaru. So, Ashmita, of these 4 stories, which is the one which you like the most, and also tell us why did you like it the most?
Actually, the second one, which I liked all the 4 stories. This is just my preference that I ended up loving the second episode more. And there's a very particular reason for that, because the entire concept of this anthology is dealing with something very, very serious and something very relevant. But the treatment for this story particularly was done with dark humor. and it's very difficult to show such a serious topic in sort of a humorous way. It can go very, very wrong. It cannot land the punch if it's done incorrectly. I think it was done very well, executed well, and I like the fact that the movie ended in a positive note with the father going back, to his daughter. And this was a nice conclusion to the story, which I liked, and it was so extra and edgy. That's what I loved. And my particularly what stood out for me for this is Jafar Sadiq's acting. I think he took this entire story to another level. So yeah, this one was my favorite.
Okay, okay. So Ashmita has chosen Love Panna Uttaranam. What about you, Arup? Let's come to you. What's your favorite and why?
My one is the Vetrimaran one, the last one, Uri Varu. So, that's one story where kind of 10 minutes into it, I was expecting what actually happens at the end. I'll not go for spoilers. Maybe a lot of people are yet to watch. But I was expecting the end, which eventually happens. And yet, I was always rooting for, oh God, let this not happen. And the way that tension builds up and slowly, kind of converges to the tragedy, that palpitating tension really got me going. And it had phenomenal acting by both Sai Pallavi and Prakash Raj. I mean, Prakash Raj, after so long, this kind of a role, I really, really marveled at that. So that one for me. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Okay, Arnab, your turn.
Yeah, and before that, since we are discussing this, I believe that the spoilers will come out. We should actually
Yes.
let the viewers know,
It's
because
been a
without
while
spoiler,
also.
it's
True.
All right. So let me make an formal announcement. Yes, viewers, I'm a little late, but yes, there will be spoilers. So yeah, if you haven't watched it yet, then probably you've not watched the video yet. You can pause it now, go to Netflix, watch it. It's 2 hours, 30-minute each story, and then come back and watch the discussion. Thank you, Arnab. Please go ahead now.
yeah. I'm like Marup. Actually, my favorite is also Vetrimaran's. What's the name actually? Oru Iravu. Yeah.
Audible, yes.
Yeah, and there are various reasons for that. One of the thing is obviously we know that the caste problem is so huge in India, and caste is also related to honor. And when we talk about honor, it's like the burden is also on a woman's shoulder in India, and therein this concept of exploring this honor killing in a difficult exploration of past and present was something which I really liked. I know that like the end would have been happening the way it has happened, but the tension that it built up, and it actually haunted me even after the movie was over. Even for a few
Yes.
days, I talked to various people as well, and it's like, yeah, uh, even though we haven't faced it ourselves, but somewhere that's probably the real uh, India,
The
real
other India.
the other India, and which is the majority of India, which has been depicted, which we read on news, and it is so real, and somewhere the societal stigma that drive to choose uh, the caste and honor over family bond is like it's very heart wrenching. And also I liked one thing is the post credit, if you have seen that the in animation form, where they talks about how the father was taken to the custody. Even the girl's mother actually was a witness to the crime. She even said that she was one of the witness, but still nothing happened to the father, which shows that how it's very difficult, and it's rarely a scenario like this. A person is prosecuted in court successfully in India, where honor killing is not taken. I don't use the word seriously, but I can't find a better word, taken seriously by even court. So that's, I felt it was more real when I mean, obviously I liked all the other three stories, but this one felt more real and rooted, and actually it haunted me, and something which I will not visit anytime again, even though I liked the film. So yeah,
Right,
Yeah.
that's the
right,
reason for
right.
me.
That's interesting. All right. If you ask me, which you didn't, of course, but anyways, I'm gonna give
So I
my.
was about to ask you.
So yeah. I think I really liked all the stories. Of course, Vetrimaran Sur Erabu was also. I really enjoyed that one too, and it was an excellent storytelling, of course, with great acting. However, my favorite was Gautam Menon's Vanmagal. And the reason for that is that it actually, if you see traditionally, when we see oppression stories or when we see stories of honor and caste, it is generally the father. It is generally the father who takes the center stage, right? They are the ones who are, even in these stories, if you see the mothers are the soft ones, like even in Vetri Maran's stories, and even the first story, the Bhangam story, where the trans woman's mother was crying at the end. So if you see, but here it really turns it on the head and also shows you that the patriarchal mindset is not only seeped into the patriarchy, but to an extent, due to the centuries of the way things are happening, it invades the mother's head as well. And so if you see, there are so many instances of Vadhu Hatya over dowry and all, you will also see the family mothers also getting involved into all those things, that this honor killing. And that's why it turned the things in a little bit different than what we usually watch. Other than that, I think a very sensitive treatment of rape has been shown in this. I mean, you see, whenever we see something like this in the story, the directors go over the top and they try to show it in a way that uska to life kharab ho gaya, that it's all finished, everything is dead. But the way the father interacts with the daughter, not the mother, the father interacts with the daughter and normalizes it. It's like, it's okay, you will meet bad people, but most people are not like that. So forget about this. It's just like you had a fever. The fever was there, you are gone, and now it's a new beginning. So the treatment and the sensitivity to which it was attached between a father-daughter relationship, which generally we see the matriarch playing, but when here we see the patriarch playing, is mighty interesting for me, and that is why I think it is my favorite out of the four, of all the four anthologies. What do you see the future of these anthology stories like going forward? We have seen quite a few anthology stories in Hindi as well, like Bombay Talkies and Ghost Stories and Last Stories, and Pava Gadigal, and is coming up again. So how do you feel about these as a medium through which different directors are coming together and expressing itself? Or do you think maybe this will fade away in just a phase?
No, I don't think it's fade away. It's actually a good one. I really like the way Netflix is coming. They are taking a theme and having stories on that. We had last stories, and then ghost stories, and then we have Pava Kadigal. In fact, Pava Kadigal, it's shown as season 1, right? It kind of opens a gate for having another future, maybe this year or sometime in the future. We have another series of stories from our directors. What it does really great is, we get to know from the different directors on a particular theme. It's kind of an extempore where, the directors, all the filmmakers of today, they're given one theme and it's on them to find out the way to express themselves. Say if I take an example of Bombay Talkies, which is the favorite one of mine, if I compare all these anthology films, we had that theme of cinema, and we had different stakeholders of cinema talking about, or having their own interactions or expressions towards the medium. In the Nawazuddin Siddiqui story, I remember that's one man who has a great flair of acting but had never got a chance. That's his way of looking into cinema. And in the Anurag Kashyap one, I remember there's a fan, a huge fan of Amitabh Bachchan who would like to do anything for his screen star, and his way of taking cinema. So it's like different strata of the society, different individuals, and their stories coming together bound by the same theme. So that's really great. While we are talking about anthology, one great anthology film that I wanted to mention over here is Iranian anthology that I have watched this year. We actually included it for our international film list. It's called There Is No Evil, and it shows not the victims or not the family of the victims, but the others around around a person who has been executed as a capital punishment. So how would the hangman feel, or how would the person who have done this feel when he goes to his own family and the surroundings, how they come to, and then they talk about this excessive use of capital punishment in Iran through those stories. Who would be the not the primary receivers, but the secondary receivers, how even their lives are impacted for things like this. So anthology has a lot of strength in making a lot of perspectives come together in a very short frame of time. So
Right.
that way, I really feel that it holds a lot of strength in terms of the media.
What about you, Ashmita? What do you feel about the future of this?
I agree mostly with what Arup said, because honestly now also people's attention span is also reducing.
Agreed.
So so I think anthology is a great way for directors to express themselves in a particular topic, and I think I'm very happy for the OTTs, because I think Pava Kadaigal, a movie like that, wouldn't have gotten the nationwide recognition that it did if it wasn't for an OTT platform.
Absolutely.
So I don't think it would have gotten so many theaters to begin with. Maybe in the South, but definitely not overall pan India. And this is a kind of story that needs to be told to everybody. And I think with anthologies, there are so many topics that you can cover, and you can tell the masses in a short span of time, and you can just express your feelings and thoughts on that, and let the audience decide, okay, this point of view is good or that point of view is good. Because I think when the audience also gets 4 or 5 different point of views for the same topic, it sort of opens their mind also for discussion. So it's a good thing for the directors also to get this platform, and it's a good thing for us as an audience as well. So I think more and more anthologies should come up. This is a great start, I feel, because 2020 we got quite a number of anthologies. So I am looking forward to more such anthologies in 2021. I just hope it doesn't fade away. It doesn't seem that it's going to fade away. I think it's going to grow more only. So yeah, my fingers are crossed.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, what Ashmita you're making, because of course now when you say it, it becomes very apparent that the kind of liberty the directors are getting due to the OTT platform. So those were not there actually, and I don't think still will be there when they are going to release the movies in the theaters.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of freedom is what they can get, and I think things continue the same way. All right, I think one of the aspects which we've discussed our favorite movies, and we have favorite movies of this anthology, the favorite stories, and we've also discussed the future, what could be the future of this. Now let's talk about one of the stories which none of us have talked about, but I think still was mighty impressive. Let's talk about Sudha Kongara's Thangam, which talks
Yeah.
about a transformer. And why don't you start about your views on Thangam, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, reading about Thangam, which I really liked, but I was thinking that why not? Like, we all knew that a transgender person in 80s Tamil Nadu will face all the hardship. We all know that what was coming. So why not? They could have probably explored the Thangam's uh, uh, love for his childhood friend, who was the only person who actually understood him. Why not explore that area where that person actually gave him a lipstick, saying, "Hey, this is what you wanted." And I thought, oh, okay, it's going to some other route, which was so bold. And then suddenly we came to know about his sister and the love triangle, and then whatever happened, it was brilliant, no doubt. But somewhere, actually, I would say that I knew that this will happen. This person will face the brunt of his front of the society, his family, everyone. He will be humiliated, and it will see a dark ending for him and or her. Actually, I would say her. Him is not the right term. And that's what happened. They could have explored that love story between his love for Thangam. His name was what was his name? Sathira.
Satar.
Sathar. Sathar's love for Thangam, and probably the other stuff which was happening could have been at the side, not the main plot point. That could probably drive that love story, and not the other way around. Having said that, I really like the ending of the movie, whereby which should start to happen, whereby they actually rejected their own family. They were all happy, and they came here to meet their parents with their own son, and then hearing what has happened, they immediately start driving away, and even Thangam's mother said that, what can we do if someone has did wrong to him? And he said that you guys are even worse. You were part of it. You were witnessing it. You didn't try to stop. And even then, his wife also didn't let his mother touch, see their grandson. So in that way, it shows that okay, it's enough is enough. We will not take the BS anymore. We should move out, and that even that's a reflection of ourselves and our society. Even in real world, we see that many of our friends and family, not maybe in this context, they're problematic in some way or other, but we try to hide it behind the closed doors and say it's okay, it's okay, this guy is good at heart, but that is problematic. But sometimes that problematic, that notion, that needs to be cut down, and for that can only happen if we be indifferent to them, if we move away from them. Otherwise they will never realize what wrong they have done. So that's a portion I really like, the ending of that story.
Great, great. All right, coming to
That's
Ashmita.
really interesting. That's actually Arnav's perspective that, yeah, probably the love story could have been explored more. That actually is very interesting. Though I feel probably maybe Sudha Kongara sort of took a safe route where she wanted to just test the waters, giving us a transgender story. That, okay, to the audience, okay, I'm not just going to give too much shock value to the audience. Let me just present the story. Yeah, it is predictable. Same like with Thangam and Vetrimaran, the last story of Vetrimaran. I forget the name. What was the last one? Urivaru. So in those two stories, I knew that this is sort of going to be the ending. I had guessed it before, but I was very happy that yes, a very commercial director has explored and given us a transgender story, which was very massy in its feel, like where Kalidas Jairam, where he was breaking down and crying. It felt like a completely commercial film with all the background score, the dramatic background score. But for me, it worked because that is her style, and I am happy that she has sort of given us the story. Maybe like you said, Arup, that yeah, there could be a possibility of a season 2, and these kind of transgender stories in depth can be explored via OTT, I feel. Maybe, I don't know how much freedom the censor board is going to give, when it comes to a theatrical release while exploring transgender stories. But OTT definitely has that, advantage. So I think Sudha Kongra, in my opinion, played it a little safe in just giving us the story that you feel in this point of time, just feel for the transgender character. You are supposed to, as an audience, feel bad for this person. And I think that was her intention, which I think she mastered it in that. So that's why I was very happy. And I really loved the ending where, like Arnav said, they rejected the family. That's how it should have been. I would have been very sad if they were okay with it and they just, mourned the friend's death and did nothing. But I'm glad that they took that route and rejected it. And really, the last scene where he goes to that stream and opens the package and he finds that lipstick, I think that really made me very, very emotional. That was a really great ending sequence. So yes.
Yeah. Actually, like I'm glad you mentioned the last scene, because then there is this that melody, the song plays during that, and it really binds it all together very well.
Right.
That's very sombering actually. Arup, coming to you. What are your thoughts on Thangam?
Yeah, so you rightly mentioned that melody, that song, that's one of the highlights of that story. I agree to what both Arnab and Ashmita are saying. When Ashmita, you mentioned that it is a safe one, yes, it is. Because when it's a transgender who is the protagonist of the story, you've already got a sympathy from your audience. Because your target audience, that is, it might not be for the mass audience, but your target audience already has a sympathy angle to that. But what really struck for me is this is a love triangle with a man, a woman, and a transgender. That itself wins it for me. You do not have that's a hell lot of streamlining, right? When have we seen a love triangle with a transgender included? That is a massive, massive plus for me for this story. And I would kind of, discount all the other, maybe not the greatest things that the story has, just for bringing this part into the front line. I really love that aspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, not that any of you asked, but again, still.
You just say it before any of us asking. So
Yeah, that's true.
wait for 5 seconds before we ask you.
That's precisely what I'm doing. Anyways, yes. Yeah. So yeah, Thangam is actually I really like Thangam the way overall, and I think all of you have covered all its aspects. There's nothing really much to add. So I'll try to take a different route. What I think is that possibly whenever we are showing a trans woman or a trans man character, it is sort of a given that we portray them, or in cinema they are portrayed as the weak ones. Why not portray a strong trans character who can hold their own? Why not portray somebody who can profess their love and who can stand their own ground? Like, I don't know, Perambu. If you remember Perambu, the woman with Mammootty in the end falls in love. She's a trans woman,
Right.
but you look at her personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
Super deluxe.
yeah. So
Super
yeah,
deluxe.
Super Deluxe also. Yeah, there is some vulnerability, but yeah, at the end.
No, but
Yeah.
she's a strong
Yeah.
character. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, at the end, she comes out to be a strong character. So I think we could explore those aspects more, where we show a self-assured person, because also at the end of the day, you are also showing that to cinema, to people who are in the closet, who are on the fence. So if you constantly show all the time the suffering, I do not think they will. A lot of people might not be comfortable with coming out by disclosing their original identities. So maybe there is a chance that we show strong, successful trans characters, which Perambu successfully did, and to an extent maybe Super Deluxe. But yeah, that is something which I think could be explored. But taking nothing away.
Interesting. Though I feel, because the theme was honor killing, I think Sudha Kongra just took that route, that okay, this happens in reality, so we're just going to show that. But yes, we need strong trans characters in movies as well. That's so true. That is true.
Yeah, nothing against Sudha Kongra. Yeah, Arnab.
And there is another criticism. I just like to bring it up. I've read many critics are angry that why a real trans character is not playing it and a cis is playing it. So that's
I
a
think
discussion which is
like
going
an
on of
ongoing
late.
debate. True.
Yeah.
True, that's
That always happens.
That
these
will
days.
always happen. Then I mean, like, when you look at the trans character, then if you say why, then what you're saying is that every time there is suppose there is a gay character, only gay people should play it. Or every time there's a straight character, only straight people should play it.
No. I think I can understand from where they're coming, because since the trans, the gay, they're so marginalized in our society. So somewhere that give the authenticity and voice, maybe, which they are looking for so long, and there are people out there. Maybe that's the reason.
like in case of Perambu, she's a trans woman who played the character. She's actually a trans woman. So yeah, I get that.
And even Patal Lok.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But I also feel it's kind of an oxymoron, right? If for the marginal characters, you only take them, you are kind of telling you are different. You are not doing it as you would do for anyone else. When you make new rules, you are some way making the difference very obvious. So that's also maybe in Perambu, the lady who played it, she played it beautifully. So it should, like anything else, depend on the expertise of the actor, and not whether she is trans or she is straight, all of that.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it needs to be merit based. True.
Yeah. So yeah, the discussion is going at a different tangent. So I'll just bring it back.
Bring it back.
And also, it is partly my mistake, so that is fine. I mean, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I will just ask a question, and specifically, I want to ask it to Ashmita. And of course, if we find it, if we have something to add, Arupa and Arnav, you can also add. So you see, this particular these 4 stories actually are all women centric, and all are onto the caste oppression going all together. And when you see these 4 stories, what perspective do you feel you get, like, about the treatment, about the cinema, about how women are being shown, or what is your feel about it overall?
See, there are 2 points here. One is that it is the reality. Unfortunately, when I watched this anthology, it gave me a sense of realism which broke my heart. That it is true that even maybe not even in cities, I wouldn't put the cities past it, even the metro cities, where there is this teaching which goes on in our family that the honor quote unquote the honor of the family is in the burden. It's the woman's burden. So I find myself privileged that okay, because I'm the only child, still I was not put into that pressure from my parents that, oh, you are the pride of the family and all of that. But it makes me sad that I have to call myself privileged for that. I mean, it shouldn't be the case. Me being a woman and born into a family with parents who have an open mind shouldn't be considered a privilege. Everybody should have an open outlook towards their children, whether it's a girl or a boy. So that's the first point that when I watched this anthology, it did give me a sense of realism, and that's why I think I could feel the pain of these characters, where what they were going through. The second thing is that my perspective, in terms of my perspective, it really didn't do much to change it. It, I think, did much to establish and reinforce the fact that yes, this is a reality, be it in very, very prevalent in the villages, in the tier 2 cities, but definitely there in the metros as well. I have personally witnessed it, that it passes by as, ओ ठीक है भाई, वो तो घर ठीक है ना, नाम तो आपको चेंज करना ही है शादी के बाद. Very small minute things that I also used to get कि अच्छा इतना टाइम हो गया, शादी कब करेंगे. I mean, I am an educated postgraduate working woman. When are you going to settle? Something like that still gets asked to me living in Mumbai. So you can understand how deep this thought goes. So yes, in terms of my perspective, it didn't do anything to shift it. It just reinforced it more and more after watching the anthology.
So I have nothing to add to that. I think that was pretty complete perspective which you came up with. Arnav, Arup, if you want to.
No, it's just that I'm so happy that we have Ashmita for this discussion, because irrespective of, however we have known that, felt that, we as three male will always see from a distance. I often talk to my female colleagues or my peers, and I think that, okay, you will also have to send the same reports and same deliveries at the same point of time. And even when we are at the same state from a professional perspective, there's so much more these ladies have to do. And why is that so? Just because the society has, paved the construct in such a way that the burden is always more for no reason. And if you do that, you kind of put them in a high pedestal. That's also a way of, making or, milking things out of them, putting at the high pedestal.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, it's always at a distance for all of us, however educated or however sympathizing we might be. And that's the best part of this podcast for me, having her here.
In my household, always my Pishi, my Buaji, she was the matriarch. She was the person driving the family. So I never understood that this thing till I moved to Delhi for my MBA. And now after coming to Canada, I see so many. There is a couple from Madhya Pradesh. The girl has to fly away, not fly away, I mean, escape her home, to do her graduation, because her father was not willing to invest on her studies. So then Pavak Kadegal, when I see and Ashmita summed it up very well. Indeed, like that reminded me of a dialogue from Sonchiriya, where a character loosely based on Phulan Devi, she says to Bhumi Pednegar's character that, देखो इंडिया में वो कास्ट जो भी रहे, 4 कास्ट होता है ना. I even don't know the proper layer anyway. Brahmin, Kshatriya and all those stuffs, and the 5th one is woman. So that's the reality of India.
That's why I said it made me sad it makes me sad to think, why should I call myself privileged? It should be something very normal to grow up in a normal household with parents who treat you, as the same. If I was a guy or if I was a girl. So I think that privilege word attached to me just makes me sad.
Yeah,
I don't think it's only on India. In India it's a lot on the face, but this distinction, this demarcation, I have seen it in many other countries in very subtle forms, but it's always there. So unfortunate, but true.
But honestly, one thing, even something very small, as in after moving to Canada, my wife says that something very basic, that okay, I don't have to worry how I dress, how I move out. And something it's very basic, which we as a male will never understand.
Yeah.
The comfort of being on your own, whatever you are wearing, and just moving out without thinking. In India, like she used to think a lot. Okay, ये पहनूं, थोड़ा सा ये दिख जाएगा, वो दिख जाएगा, and what not.
Yeah,
So
of
So
course.
glad you brought up this point. Seriously, it's so true.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. So yeah, really nothing more to add from my side. Just one thing that of late we are actually seeing, and we have discussed this many times. Of late, we are actually seeing a lot of stories where women are writing about women. So we get to see a lot of perspectives now, which we were alienated from, and also the fact that you are here and to talk about them, it is really awesome. All right. Before we actually finish this, I would like the closing comments from all of you. And Ashmita, specifically from you, you chose your favorite movie to be Panna Uttarana. So yeah, why is it your favorite? You have to give me say 1, 2, 3 points, 3 words.
Okay, points, very short points are here. Number one, the treatment with the help of dark humor. That's the number one, because that's something that I have not seen, a movie getting treated with comedy, like this particular topic. Second, the fact that it ended in a positive note. There was a change in perspective of the father. I like that. Personally, I like that. The third is Jafar Sadiq. He's definitely the winner for me. I couldn't believe actually when I was researching more of his stuff that this was his first film. So that really sort of blew my mind. So yeah, these are the 3 main points why I love this one.
Okay.
Shubhadeep, while I hear hear from Ashmita about the second one, I kind of feel with all the good things we have about this anthology film, I feel the sequencing could have been better. I feel, if the film could have ended with this one, the second one, or maybe even the, Gautam Menon's one, instead of the Prakash Raj story, it could have been much more positive end, I would feel. That story
and I watched it in a sequence. So imagine I was so sad after the, Sai Pallavi Prakash Raj story ended. It was, and I was expecting, because like in my review also I said that I watched Vetrimaran movie, only Asur I have watched. So I was expecting it to have a very dark turn, and it did. And sadly, it made me very, very bad.
I wish it would have been the first one and then the rest followed.
Yeah, I have just one thing to say about that second story. I wish that the daughter was not killed and the father wouldn't have get away so easily with that. That I got very angry.
Yeah.
Yes. All the fathers, of course, except the third one.
Yeah, except the third one. Yeah.
You'd have gladly smashed their heads. Yes, Alok. In 3 points or less, why do you like the one which you like the most, which is Oorevaru?
First is Prakash Raj and Sai Pallavi's acting. It was phenomenal. And, again, while we are telling about, smashing the father's head and the patriarchy being held by them, even then, and I believe it's as much as the script as it is Prakash Raj playing that character, you still kind of feel for this character. You feel, okay, this person is under the influence of the society and he is doing whatever he is doing for that pathos in his face. There was this one sequence when Sai Pallavi went to her gym, her yoga, right? And Prakash Raj was there. He was actually leaving. There was a minute for which he was leaving, and then Sai Pallavi calls him back and he still stays and he goes on with his plan. So those, subtle nuances that Vetrimaran has put to make the characters believable. It's not a black and white character as maybe, the second story. So that part is also great for me, the acting and those subtle nuances. And third one, I think, as I was telling, that tension build, I really love that in films. So that, I know what it's happening, but I'm still expecting and waiting for that to happen. That strength of a director to hold me back and not let me leave the screen is something I really enjoy. And that story had it in volume.
Awesome. Arnab.
Regarding the Prakash Raj's way, I don't think I can add anything more. It's already summed up so well. Yeah. So that's it. Now you can go ahead, Shubhadev.
All right, all right. So okay, maybe only Thangam is left to talk about. So let me take Thangam. Of course, if you talk about Thangam, you have to talk about Kalidas Jairam, the character who played Satar. He was brilliant. It's the way he carried it on, his overall acting. Other than that, I think the music was top of the world for me. The way they utilized music, it's very difficult to internalize music with the overall scene. Sometimes it might appear alienated, but excellent use of the music. And of course, the climax scene. Who can forget the climax scene of Thangam, where he jumps into the river and finds the lipstick and his photograph with his friend. So yeah, that was really a numbing kind of a situation. So that's about for me. All right, I think we are at the end of it, and I would like to thank Ashmita for joining us today and giving us your perspectives and really fresh perspectives which you shared with us. Thank you so much for that, and we look forward to further more collaborations with you in future.
Absolutely. The honor is all mine.